For Megan and Nick, no Sean this week. We have some exciting things to talk about, including IFA joining 1851. More on that coming up on the Weekly Sizzle. All right, let's start off by just eliminating or talking about the elephant in the room. The International Franchise Association has joined 1851. For any of you that are interested in this, go to ifa.1851franchise.com. Megan has been working a lot on preparing the content. Obviously, our mission is to tell a great narrative of franchising, specifically some of the campaigning that IFA has been doing, and create an outlet that we can give you, the prospective franchisee, or the current franchisee, or the prospective franchisor, or the current franchisor, or the supplier, everything that's going on within IFA within another third-party publication. So Megan, talk about the beat, talk about what it means, what's coming around the bend with IFA.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that we're following here is our franchise tour, and a big part of that is sort of taking a look at local communities and the franchisees in those local communities and sort of creating a really personal feeling to how these stores are coming in and really impacting their communities on a very local level. And I think in a lot of ways it's kind of crushing this myth of this sort of like big box store that a lot of people think of when they think of franchising.
Yeah, as we were talking with IFA and IFA's leadership, one of the challenges is the pure perception of franchising. We've talked about it on the Weekly Sizzle here before. We've written about it within 1851, but the perception to the general audience, especially those that are a little bit removed from franchising, is that franchising is this chain, this evil chain. And the reality is, as Megan just said, we're telling the stories of a lot of local entrepreneurs who have decided to take a risk and put all their money into owning a brand. Megan, what are some of the stories that you've heard from franchisees that have inspired you, or what inspires you about listening to franchisees?
I think for me, it's talking to these entrepreneurs who have always wanted to be a business owner, but never really thought that they had the capabilities or the experience to do so, and to learn how franchising has given them opportunity and essentially given them the chance to live the American dream is pretty incredible.
Yeah, so be sure to look at ifa.1851franchise.com. On their site, you're going to be able to see a lot of franchisee profiles. We want to profile great franchisees. So if you have great stories, feel free to reach out directly to us, and you can go through the editorial channel on our site, or you can email either of us directly, or find us on LinkedIn. Easy way to connect. But we want to tell all of those great franchisee stories that exist out there, because it's ultimately you, the independent business owner, who's going to make a difference, and who can ultimately impact politicians' uneducated viewpoints at the local level. So as IFA.1851franchise.com continues to ramp up and tell the narrative of franchising, we want you to contribute to it too. So don't be afraid to reach out. Giving you the 8 stories that are most important. That's obviously story number 1. Another story that I think is vital. Eric Stites from Franchise Business Review was quoted in QSR Magazine about the importance of franchisee satisfaction. Eric said, "Gross sales mean nothing to franchisee satisfaction. What really draws satisfaction is profitability." We do see a direct link between profitability and franchisee satisfaction, but beyond that, it's not just about money. And I think there's a few important messages there, Megan, and I'm sure you hear this from the franchisees that you speak with, that profitability is key. I think all of those that are in private equity would say that you as a franchisor, if you want to be acquired, make sure that you're profitable and the margins are great for the franchisee. And for franchisees, obviously money is important. You're not going to invest your life savings into something if you don't believe that you can't make money. But beyond that, and maybe provide some comments on this, that it's about the passion or whatever the difference that you're able to do within the brand that you're buying.
Yeah, I think a lot of the one key message that I've heard in talking to a bunch of franchisees is that if you don't feel proud of the product that you're representing or selling, and you don't feel proud to go and walk into the doors of your store every day, then it's not worth it. Then if your heart and soul isn't in it, then you're probably not going to be successful.
Yeah, we continue to talk about passion here, and obviously we can see that in the articles that are trending on 1851, that typically the passion pieces seem to stand out with the greatest audience. Number 3 on our story list is top players in franchise development, which we're continuing to cover, and it's our cover this month. Megan, you want to provide some feedback of the stories that we ran this week? I know we featured Bill Wilfong from Pita Pit and Noel Burke from Two Men and a Truck. Great stories coming out of this?
Yeah. One of the key messages that I keep finding in all of these is how so a lot of them are kind of spilling their secrets on what makes their franchise development process so successful. And really the big thing that is coming out of this is that it's all about transparency. It's all about giving your franchisees a very clear picture of what their expectations should be. And when you lay it down from the very beginning, they kind of know what they need to do from the moment they open their doors to be successful.
That's great. Next story on our list, Forbes had a story about Smoothie King increasing the value of their partnership with their arena naming rights when the NBA decided to move the NBA All-Star Game there, that was a surprise win for Smoothie King, a brand that is quickly growing and building international brand recognition. So that was an interesting story. You can find that at smoothieking.1851franchise.com. Megan, we had another story about the 10 worst places to start a business. The top 6 worst places to start a business all happen to be in California, but you pulled that story. Does that mean any franchisor should avoid those cities?
Yeah, so they looked at kind of the social, economic, and government hurdles that are sort of holding people back from success, and unfortunately, California is not a great place to look at if you want to be a successful business owner.
Hey, California, maybe you should stop beating up franchises, because maybe then you'll become more friendly for businesses instead of the 6 worst cities to start a business. We have a story, Social Geek Radio. We broadcast their newscast, their online podcast. We rebroadcast it on 1851, and that is trending currently. There's an interview with Tutor Doctor CEO, so be sure to check that out. You can always check out their previous podcasts at socialgeekradio.1851franchise.com. And I'm sure Deb and Jack, the hosts of that show, would be glad to interview you, franchisor, if you're looking for more digital coverage. But another good interview from them. We have an aggregated piece about Lightbridge Academy opening a new location in New Jersey. What I like about that, Megan, is that it's a 10,000 square foot building, and if in an election year where people are a little bit hesitant about maybe spending money, the fact that here's a giant investment still growing forward is positive sign for the economy, positive sign for a brand like that. So I enjoyed seeing that story on there. We have Dairy Queen highlighted in the Westchester County Business Journal about their growth in New York. I'm sure you've written about this a ton, but it seems like every brand is targeting New York.
Yes, that's true.
That is exactly the answer I wanted. What other cities are you seeing? We talked about worse cities, but what other cities are you seeing growth or brands that you're talking about growing in?
It looks like a lot of the Midwest, certainly like Chicago, and I'm not just saying that because we're in Chicago, but sort of the heartland where, I know Dairy Queen in particular has had a lot of success there just because they're from the Midwest, and there are a lot of those kind of wholesome values that I think people often associate with Dairy Queen found here. So.
Yeah, that seems to be a trend. I was talking to a prospective client on our agency side, and they said the most important thing, they're based out of Missouri. They said the most important thing with any of their franchisees is that they have those Midwest values. So perhaps that's leading to some of the growth here. So those are the 8 stories. I'm going to leave it at this. We want to tell the stories of franchising. That's why we've partnered up with IFA. If any of you are watching this, I'm looking at you, whoever you are. We want to tell your story, regardless of the political BS that exists and who you work with from an agency standpoint. We're open to telling your story, and this is what 1851 is about. So I genuinely mean it that We want to tell great stories, and that's it. So if you have a great story and want to be featured on IFA's page, be sure to reach out to us, and we'd be happy to find a way to include you, especially if it's about changing the narrative so that those that are uneducated about franchising start understanding what franchising is and the positive impact that it could potentially have to communities all around the world. So for Megan, I'm Nick. Thanks for watching the Weekly Sizzle yet again. Take care.